I'm going to go through the installation process of this JB Custom Fabrication twin stick setup. First of all, I'll go through the pieces. You get some good detailed instructions. I got this off of eBay. Again, it's JB Custom Fabrication. For the NP205, GM made it up to a SM465 4-speed. Going in my 86 Chevy truck. Looks like an awesome setup. It's all stainless steel. Nice bent. Looks like 1/4-inch steel. Stainless MIG welds. Nice stainless shifter handles. The knobs come with plastic knobs. I see you can also get a turned out milled knob for them that has the shift pattern on them. I'm actually going to build some of those myself. It's got good bronze bushings, no greasing necessary on them, which is kind of nice. The old setup, the stock setup, has a grease zert. It's a pain to deal with. Here's the old one. There's the grease zert. Not necessary with this, which is nice. Stainless. Oh, you get a shift pattern decal for the truck. Stainless hardware. Looks like some nice Hymens. It also comes with this nice boot, shifter boot. Good heavy rubber. It's got a textured finish to it. Looks nice and sturdy, with a stainless trim ring around it with some stainless hardware to screw that to your center hump. I'll just go right down the line on the instructions from JB Custom Fabrication. First thing to do is get all your linkages off, no matter what kind of vehicle you're working on. Get the linkages down to where all you have are your shift rails here and here. This is going to be ground off. But yeah, you got to start out with nothing on there. My stuff's in a pile right there, and we'll keep going down the line. So we're going to remove the rear detent ball and spring. There's a little ball down in there. There he is. So we're going to punch that little freeze plug. Okay, so that just fell into the case, and then we're going to punch the roll pin out that goes through the that holds the shift fork to the shift rail here. So you need to finagle your two shift rails. See how they kind of lock out if they're in certain positions? That's a good thing. So we're going to have to get them shifted so you can look down in the freeze plug hole so you can see the roll pin, get it lined up there. This would be handy if you had a roll pin punch that has the little nipple on the end of it to keep your punch centered. I don't have one of those, but I've got it started here. There, I think it did fall all the way. Alright, get this out of the way. Actually won't need that. Alright, and there is your shift rail. We're going to end up grinding to modify. There's a spec. I'll have to read and see how far. We're going to modify this end of it and modify this notch in it. So we'll take it over to the welding bench to do that with the grinder, and we're cutting this off. You can also keep your shift fork kind of in position by running a, I don't know, long, this is a long Allen wrench, but running that into that roll pin hole just to hold it, keep it from rotating and getting out of range to where you can reach it again. We're going to end up tearing this whole transfer case apart after this modification is done, because I'm going to rebuild it. But I wanted to show this first. If you're just going to do the modification for twin stick and not rebuild the whole thing. Our instructions say to make that center detent 4/10 of an inch. Alright, and just use my scribe to make that line. And the other detent in the shift rail is supposed to be 15/16 of an inch total. I've already marked it out. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make the sharp ramp like it is here, and I'm going to make the 15/16 be the end of the ramp to be on the safe side. You can always grind off more. Okay, we've got our detents ground off to the specs that they gave, so hopefully that'll work without having to redo it or buy a new shift rail. That would suck, but anyway, slide this back in. You're going to go in and you're going to feel that shift fork eye where it hangs up, and then you slide your shift rail into it. Now your shift rail is not going to slide in unless this is in the right position, because there's a ball that goes that way that it's like an interlock. All right. So there we go. I think we're into the shift fork. Don't want to force that because I believe there's a bronze bushing in that shift fork, and we don't want to force anything and put a nick or a burr in that. And also, if this was the only thing I was doing, I would get seals, these seals right here. But since I'm going to rebuild the transfer case after this modification, we're going to do the seals then. There we go. I'm able to get in there and kind of feel. I took the side cover off, this guy here, so I could retrieve my roll pin and freeze plug, but you can also get to the shift fork and kind of maneuver it how you need to from there. Alright, so I should be pretty close to where the roll pin is going to need to be slid back, tap back into place. We'll line it up with our hole here again. I'm guessing this could be kind of tricky. This will be the reason you don't want to do it in the truck. Yeah, you can see the side access there. My roll pin fell back down in there, so I'll have to grab it, and I'll have to figure out a good way to get it started and down into the holes it needs to go into. Alright, so this has proven to be trying. What I'm going to try here, I cut a little more taper on the end. Let me see here. The end of the roll pin. Shouldn't affect the function. Get it started in the hole. So I think I'm going to try this. Use just a regular old deck screw, wood screw, and try and just get it to catch there. Try that. Let's see what happens. Alright, get some pressure on it, try and get it to hold in the spot. Alright, then I just kind of unscrewed the screw. Now it's just barely in there, so I'll have to be careful. I'm going to grab a little bit bigger punch. One little contact the whole head of that roll pin. Very carefully. Hopefully with one tap, it'll be in there far enough I don't have to worry about it falling anymore. And then we can go the rest of the way in. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yep, we're solid. Alright, so now we have our twin stick capabilities. I'm going to throw the little detent ball and spring and cap back on there. Okay, so we're going to go to rear low. Now remember, it's going to be opposite with your shifters up here, or seam opposite. Rear low, front's in neutral. We can shift the other stick. Now we're in 4 low. Okay. We'll go back to neutral. For some reason this rear side is pretty hard, and I'm thinking it's because my I need to make a little bit more shallow ramps. Alright, so we're going to go, there's rear high, front neutral. It won't mess up. Like, you can't go to front low and rear high. That wouldn't be good. Because it's got that interlock that's in there. Alright? So we can't do that. Now we're in 4 high. Alright? Go back to neutral. And we're in neutral. So pretty cool. You get separate controls of your front and rear drive. Alright. At this point, you could put your freeze plug that you fished out of the bottom of the case back in there and tap it in. But I'm going to rebuild this transfer case, so there's no need to do that right now. We're going to put our linkage together. I'm going to get it all dirty with my dirty hands. It's a pretty snug fit. So we're going to need to... Alright, then they give you 2 7/16 jam nuts to slide in there as spacers. And slide your bolt up through. Probably not going to tighten up any of the hardware just because I'm going to take it all back apart to rebuild. So there's that one. And this goes in this direction. Now we're ready to put our shifters on. Like I said earlier, this is a greaseless setup. I would probably put a little bit of waterproof grease in there to start out with. Not much, but the bronze bushings, I believe it said they're oil impregnated. So they're not going to need any grease throughout the life like the stock one is. These go in the same spot as the original. Okay, The bolt's got a nice little shoulder on it for you. Alright. And then these sweet little Heim joints are going to go okay. Everything's hooked up for my twin stick setup on the NP205 GM transfer case. Looks good. I don't have anything tight or adjusted because, like I said, I'm going to tear this all back apart. Alright, got just a little bit of slop in them just because I don't have everything tight. So anyway, we'll go through the shifts. That's rear low. Front's still in neutral. Rear wheel drive high. Alright. Now we'll put it in four-wheel drive because we're engaging the front. Four-wheel drive high. And then, now we can't go, like I was saying, we can't go, if the rear's in high, we can't put the front into low. Alright, so now we're in, right there's neutral. Now we're both in for low. Alright, then back to two-wheel drive low, neutral, two-wheel drive high. Pretty sweet, pretty slick. I dig it. Hopefully you all do too. At this point you would tighten everything up and get the oil up to the level and put it back in the truck and go four-wheeling. But I'm going to rebuild this, so I'm going to tear it all back apart. I was saying before how I was concerned about how hard it was to shift when I just had the shift rails and a punch trying to move it. But with the levers, here you go, with the levers in place, it shifts just like it should. So happy with that. Thing's a beast. It's awesome. Great job, JB Custom Fabrication. Like I said, I'm going to turn out some sweet custom knobs for it. But hope you enjoy. Hope you learned something. I did. Like I said, this was my first time doing a twin stick setup. Pretty nice little afternoon project. Yeah, I hope you liked the video and stay tuned. I'm going to rebuild this big hunk of iron right here. I did go ahead and tighten everything up, tighten the Heim ends and adjusted them so everything's straight up and down just to get a feel for it so I could show y'all. This is just a sweet setup, guys. It's freaking awesome. The shifts are good and firm, which that has to do with your shift rails, but just the construction of this kit is awesome. I'd like to think if I was to build one, I would do just as nice a job with the kit. I'm excited to get it all done and in the truck.